here today on this sunny day. The radio this morning told me it was a top 10 weather day today. So spring must be finally here. My name is Leilani Freeman, and I work with Chisago Agewell as a volunteer. And we're very, very pleased to hear you have you here at today's program. How many of you have been at one of our events before? So quite a few this time. Wow, my goodness. How many have never been to one of our events? Oh, a few. That's good. We're glad to see you here. For those of you who may not know much about us, Chisago Agewell is a not-for-profit organization which exists to provide information and resources that help older adults and their caregivers live well and age well in their homes and community. The Chisago Age Well Coalition also fosters collaboration between various nonprofit organizations, businesses, individuals, and service groups that work with older adults and caregivers of the fragile elderly. You'll see examples of that collaboration today. For example, we have Thrifty White Pharmacy participating today. We have Chisago County Public Health here today at a table. You're welcome to go pick up some resources and learn more about. They'll be speaking to you. We also have the wonderful collaboration of Zion Lutheran Church, which provides us with this great space, and we hope you all take advantage of their Monday community meals at this location. We host Dine and Discover programs like this one 3 times a year at multiple locations in the county, including North Branch and Rush City, as well as Chisago City, and our annual Agewell Expo each fall at Chisago Lakes High School, which we hope you'll all attend. We have a lot of exciting new things this year. We rely entirely on grants, local donations, and the help of volunteers. From those who are able, we welcome financial support in the form of donations or event sponsorships to help us continue programs like these, and donations to Chisago Agewell are tax deductible. Chisago Agewell programs are designed not only to provide information and resources to adults as we age, but also to assist those who care for the elderly. And caregiving takes many forms. It can be as intense as 24-hour round-the-clock care for a loved one in your home. Caregiving can also be as simple as offering a helping hand to a neighbor with day-to-day tasks, buying groceries, preparing a meal, helping them get to medical care, or checking regularly just to see how they're doing. Caregiving is many faceted. With that said, how many of you here today would consider yourselves a caregiver? Thank you for coming. And please note that on your evaluation forms, we like to know we have caregivers and we love to hear from caregivers about their needs. That's a reminder that in the folders you received as you entered, there is an evaluation form on a white sheet of paper that looks like this. We're saving paper, so that's why you see a crossed out date on the top. We're reusing. We ask that you everyone please complete your evaluation before you leave. You may either leave it on the table or you can put it in the blue bin at this table here. We'll put it out for you to return. We read each and every one, and we take your advice and ideas into account as we plan future events. Our subject today is safe use of medications, hidden hazards of online and over-the-counter drugs, and more for older adults and caregivers. We'll be hearing from pharmacist Dr. Thomas Haas III of Thrifty White Pharmacy and Rollseth Pharmacy in Forest Lake, and Madeline Willard, Community Health Supervisor for Chisago County Public Health. Chisago County Public Health has also provided information and helpful resources, which you will find at their table here right to my left. Please take a few minutes before you leave today to check out what they have and put information in your folders to take home. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Dr. Thomas Haas. Dr. Thomas Haas. I better say it correctly. Better known to his colleagues as TR. He's been a pharmacist at both Lindstrom Thrifty White Pharmacy and Rolseth Drug in Forest Lake for more than 15 years. He graduated from Forest Lake High School before completing his undergraduate studies at St. John's University and earning his Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Minnesota at Duluth. Outside of the pharmacy, Dr. Haas enjoys preparing healthy meals for his family and being involved in communities he serves. At this time, I'm going to have Dr. Haas come forward. Please welcome him.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay? All right, today we're going to touch on a topic critical to your health and independence, the safe use of medications and supplements. I could stand here for a lot of the day and talk about hundreds of potential interaction drugs and supplements, vitamins, but that's how long it would take all day. So I'll spare you the agony and I'll just cover a few here and there. So even when you're following your doctor's orders perfectly, drug interactions can happen. These aren't meant to scare you, but they're more about giving you the knowledge and power to live safe and healthy. Just a disclaimer on all the ones that we're going to go through. Every scenario is unique to each individual, so always listen to what your doctor or pharmacy says. If something comes up and you're like, but I'm on that. So what prompted this presentation of this topic? 3 main facts as we age. 4 in 10 adults 65 and older take 5 or more prescription medications. Secondly, the interactions are common. 1 in 9 older adults are at risk for a major drug interaction. And the result of this is up to 30% of hospital admissions involve an adverse drug reaction. So some reasons this happens, as our bodies, as we age, the aging process, the drugs, they metabolize more slowly and stay in our bodies longer. We might have multiple prescribers, not knowing the full picture of which medications or supplements we're all taking. And lastly, there's some risk can come from products that you just buy over the counter. All right, I promise not to make this a full biology lecture, but understanding this slide, I think, is a great deal of key of why these drug interactions can happen. So there's 4 steps on how a drug enters your body and leaves the body. You have the absorption, which you're either ingesting a pill, putting on a cream, or getting an injection. Then the drug needs to be distributed. Once it's in your bloodstream, it has to go to the target of where it's going. And then there's the metabolism, which happens in the liver. This is where most of the drugs will get broken down once it's in our bodies, also where most of the interactions happen. Enzymes in the liver is what is breaking down the drugs. So the couple things that can happen, if you have 2 or 3 of drugs trying to use that same enzyme to break down, it'll get saturated, and essentially one of the drugs will be in your body longer than anticipated. This will slow down the breakdown of the drug and can cause the adverse drug effects. So kind of an example, pretend like you're driving down 35, a lot of traffic, all of a sudden you see the orange cones, and it says 1 lane ahead. Well, everyone starts zipper merging, everyone slows down, sometimes you have to stop. It's kind of what happens when you have drugs all that go to the same enzyme, or using the same enzyme to get broken down. Secondly, you could also have a mutation in one of these enzymes that are common. Like 30% of people have some sort of mutation of an enzyme, which is why we all react to drugs differently. So that mutation can either cause the drug to break down faster, meaning it won't be in your system as long and not work as well, or it can slow it down and stay in the body longer and working too good, essentially. So there's a new thing called pharmacogenomics. I'll touch on it later, but it's pretty cool. It's just a test, and then we can predict kind of what happens based on different mutations you may or may not have. So lastly is just the elimination. The kidneys will remove the drug from your body, and as we age, our kidneys kind of slow down, or our kidney function slows down, which is another reason. All right, enough with the biology for now. So let's take a look at a couple real-world examples from common prescription medications used together that shouldn't be used together, or at least used very cautiously together. So a major interaction shown on this slide, one being any opioid, which is going to be your hydrocodone, oxycodone, plus like an anxiety or sleep medication if you're using a benzodiazepine, which is clonazepam, diazepam, lorazepam. They actually have an FDA black box warning leading to very slow breathing, can lead to confusion or falls. So that we do try to avoid it. Do I see people on both these combinations of drugs? Yes. I'd say it's a lot less than it was 10 years ago, since we have more education on opioids and the opioid pandemic, but still does happen. Secondly, on this slide, we're going to look at blood thinners, which come up a lot. The Xarelto, Eliquis, Coumadin, warfarin, with pain relievers that you can buy over the counter, such as Motrin, ibuprofen, Advil, Aleve, or naproxen. Both are essentially going to be thinning your blood, so taking both together just kind of enhances it, so it can lead to bleeding risks. A lot of times they can happen in the stomach and whatnot. Again, do we see people on both? Yes, but I guess I would probably exhaust other pain relieving options before I go to an NSAID like ibuprofen. Tylenol is usually considered safe with warfarin, kind of the safer one. But even doses of like 4,000 milligrams a day, it can raise INR levels with warfarin. So, all right, this next slide we're gonna go through pretty fast. There's a lot going on, but it's a lot of details, so you guys can read it. But three other interactions looking with antibiotics. First one is with warfarin again. That comes up a lot with antibiotics, and the provider should just be monitoring your INR on those, because they will probably increase your INR taking the antibiotics. The second one is statins with certain antibiotics like clarithromycin or erythromycin. So statins control your cholesterol levels. Combining with either of those can kind of increase that statin level in your body just by saturating that same enzyme. But we have other statins and antibiotics that don't interact, that a lot of times will just change the drug completely. So we don't have to worry about that one very much either. So last on this slide, we have antacids, calcium or like magnesium containing. So this would be like Tums, Mylanta, Malox. So with ciprofloxacin or doxycycline, which are antibiotics, it actually binds to, if you take it together, they bind together, and the drug or the antibiotic can't actually get to where it's going, so it doesn't get broken down at all. So it doesn't actually cause harm, but it just makes the antibiotic not work. Simple fix is you can just take the antibiotic or the antacid 2 hours or before the antibiotic or 4 hours after. So maybe you've heard that before. All right, next slide. Next slide, we're going to look at some over-the-counter products that can cause harm. The first on the list we have here is diphenhydramine, is what's commonly in Benadryl, and also many sleeping products, Tylenol PM, Advil PM, ZQuil. It's actually on the beers list, which it's a list put out by the American Geriatric Society, It has over 100 medications on it. It's to try to avoid, it's for providers to try to avoid these medications in the population of 65 and older. And they, about every 3 years, they revamp the list or make amendments if needed. So yeah, this diphenhydramine, the reason it's on the list, it can cause confusion, urinary retention, making it kind of more difficult to go to the bathroom. And it can lead to falling, and then long-term use, it has been shown it could lead to dementia. So I probably wouldn't use it first line for sleep. But I do know a lot of people that use it for a sleep aid, but just probably try something else first. If you're using it for allergies, whatever, you can try just using Claritin or Zyrtec. They don't have either of those effects, and they're not on the beers list. All right, next on the slide, we're going to go to NSAIDs, which we already talked about them with blood thinners. We'll talk about them again. They can cause damage to our kidneys, increase our blood pressure, and actually worsen heart failure, more with high-dose long-term use as we age. But even younger people need to be cautious with the NSAIDs as well. I remember in pharmacy school, we were learning about acute kidney failure, and the professor just she was probably in her 30s, told a story. Her husband went away to play for a softball tournament, and when he came home, he said, "You got to look at my leg. Something's wrong." And his leg was like 2 times the size. And so she said, "Well, what happened?" "Well, I hurt my back, so I started taking Advil." She said, "Well, how much were you taking?" So I think he took way too much Advil. Probably alcohol was involved, and he put himself in acute renal failure. So he had to go to the ER, and I remember the professor said, "I felt like an idiot because I could have just told him not to do that." So short-term use, they're perfectly fine and at appropriate doses, but if you're going to do long-term, you don't want to do too much. And then lastly, we're just going to be aware, make sure you read the labels. Many cough and cold products contain Tylenol or acetaminophen as one of the ingredients. And if you're already taking it for some sort of arthritis or pain of any sort, and you add it to, you could possibly exceed the max of 3,000 units a day, which is what they kind of say we should max out at as we age. So just make sure we read those labels and know exactly what you're taking. So next, we're going to go into some food and drinks that can possibly cause interactions that we see every day. So I'm sure you've seen the grapefruit sticker on pill bottles before. So again, it's a liver enzyme that it's competing with, and it can do this with the statins. Pretty easy fix. There's 2 other statins, not Zocor and Lipitor, that don't go with the same pathway, so we could just change the drug if someone's a big grapefruit juice drinker. Same with blood pressure meds. There's just kind of one class that's kind of bad, or it interacts with a lot, and you just change the drug. There's a lot of different classes of blood pressure medications. Lastly, they can do it with the blood thinners as well. They're kind of the culprit of the Eliquis and Xarelto. So if you can, try to avoid it, just because it can increase that bleeding risk. So second thing on this side is the alcohol. We want to take caution, especially when starting out on a new blood pressure med or changing doses. Sometimes you don't know how that blood pressure medication is going to affect you, and if it makes your blood pressure go down too much, adding the alcohol can cause falls, resulting in falls. Same thing with the anxiety or sleep medications of the benzodiazepines, which is that diazepam. Alcohol in that can increase sedation and decrease the respiratory rate. So try to avoid it on that. And the last part is diabetes meds as well. If you're on insulin, glipizide or metformin are kind of 3 that if you do drink alcohol with it, you just want to really do it in moderation because it can lower your blood sugars to a point where too low and you're considered hypoglycemic. And lastly on this slide is just quick with vitamin K and warfarin. And we don't see warfarin as much anymore, still a little bit, but since Xarelto and Eliquis came out, seems like it's less and less each year. But vitamin K is directly interacts with it. And if you have too high a INR, if your blood's too thin, to get it back to normal, they actually give a vitamin K supplement. So in your diet, the green leafy vegetables, kale, spinach, Brussels sprouts, they're going to have vitamin K in it. You don't want to avoid them, but you just do want to try to stay consistent if you're a frequent eater of those. Not eat a ton one day and then don't eat it for a while. Kind of mess with your INR. So now we're going to move on to vitamins and supplements. So the key point in this is natural does not always mean safe. In a perfect world, we'd get all our vitamins and essential nutrients from the food we eat. However, this isn't normally how we can do it, and sometimes we do need supplements or supplementation of a certain mineral. So real quick, this is how, so supplements are regulated much differently than medications. Medications are managed by the FDA, and they need to prove that they're safe and effective before going to market with many clinical trials. It's heavily regulated. Vitamins are considered, it's monitored by the FDA, but it's considered a food. So there's no doesn't have to show safety or effectiveness before going to out on the market. It's just has to show that it has good manufacturer's practices, and it just pretty much kind of shows how they make it. But the FDA will only stop in kind of after an event happens, kind of like a food. If something's happening, they'll recall something if someone's getting sick or something, but they won't do anything until something happens. And then they can also make claims that aren't necessarily true. I know, for instance, an example is Prevagen. A few years ago was big on the improve your memory. This is the best thing ever. And they actually got sued by the Attorney General of New York and lost because there wasn't really any scientific data showing that it helped your brain and whatnot. They can't make those claims anymore. So sticking with supplements, so since no one's really monitoring it, to know what exactly is in the bottle, I'd look for brands that either have an NSF, which is National Science Foundation, or a consumer lab. They'll have it right on the bottle. These are independent testing facilities that will test a vitamin, whereas when they don't have them, I mean, it could have contaminants or just not have the right quantity of what you think you're getting. So one thing to look at when you're buying vitamins or supplements. And then there's not a lot of clinical trials that go along with data of supplements and vitamins. It's kind of based on peer reviews and whatnot. So if someone asks me about a supplement, I have a few resources to look at. Otherwise, I'll try to figure out how the supplement or vitamin is going to be metabolized, and then try to make just an educated decision on whether it's safe or if the person even needs it or going to be effective. So there's two types of vitamins. Where you have your water-soluble vitamins, and then you have your fat-soluble vitamins. Water-soluble vitamins don't pose a huge risk, as any extra you take that's not absorbed in your body just eliminates, you pee it out. And the fat-soluble vitamins, which is on there A, D, E, and K, they're actually going to get stored in your fat if you take too much fat and liver if you take too much of them. So they're the ones you kind of have to be more careful of. The side effects are on the slide there. You can read them with the limits on them as well. I'd say toxicities of these vitamins are fairly rare. You have to take pretty high doses for kind of a long amount of time to see any toxicity of vitamins, but they can happen. To treat them, you just stop the impending agent. If you're taking too much vitamin D, you'd stop it, and most people just go back to normal in like 1 to 4 weeks. So here's a couple supplements with known drug interactions. All these on the list, like high dose fish oil, vitamin E, garlic, ginkgo, turmeric. Again, they increase that bleeding risk, so anything with the warfarin, Xarelto, or Eliquis. And they're actually going to probably have you stop and like any of these 7 to 10 days before surgery, just because they do pose that bleeding risk. Next one, St. John's wort, actually, so it's sold for as a mood stabilizer, mood support. It has over 500 drug interactions documented. So if anyone's taking an actual prescription medication, probably advise like not to take it, just because it's metabolized by one of the main ones that everything's metabolized from. So the main point, if you do have medications and you're going to add a supplement or a vitamin, it's always good to ask pharmacist or doctor to steer you in the right direction. This is just kind of showing essentially where to buy drugs. The U.S. is very strict on what can and can't be in the country as drugs go. Buying it outside the country, I wouldn't be as confident as what's in it, if it's a counterfeit or whatnot. So just kind of show what's on that. So a pharmacist is a great resource. Like I said, you can always ask us. We're available, accessible. We're there. We're open a lot of times. We're there. So come say hi if anything. So back to my pharmacogenomics that I talked about earlier. This is kind of where I see prescribing and pharmacy going in the future. So what it is it's just a cheek test. You do it one time. Your genes don't change unless you get a liver transplant. But yeah, you just do it one time. I did one. You just swab your cheek. I mailed it back, and then I got to see my results. But they're using this in chemotherapy, HIV drugs, warfarin drugs. Real world example, Plavix, which they usually give you after a stint or a heart attack. And there was people in Hawaii that were having a second heart attack shortly after starting it. Plavix is known to people with Pacific Islanders have this genetic mutation where they process the drug too quickly, metabolize it too quickly, so the Plavix doesn't work. Actually, the state of Hawaii sued Plavix, and they won like a $700 million lawsuit saying that Plavix wasn't upfront with the dangers of the Pacific Islanders and whatnot. So I just think that's neat. When I did my own, I found out I had a mutation. It's called the MTHFR gene, and it actually is what methylates vitamins. So when you take like a vitamin B, for instance, if you just buy a normal synthetic vitamin B, your body has to methylate it, and this gene is what does it. So if I was just take a normal vitamin B, it wouldn't do anything for me because my body can't methylate it and make it into the active form. So that was kind of neat to learn. So so when to talk to your pharmacist. I guess anytime you're starting a new medication, if you have side effects or you think you have side effects, if you're adding anything, OTC or supplement, starting an antibiotic, if you don't think a medication's working, all good times. And even if you're picking up a new medication and somebody asks, do you have any questions? And even if you don't have a specific question, you can always just say, what should I expect from this medication? It's always good to know. And then there's kind of 5 habits to just kind of prevent harm. Just with people using so many doctors, it's nice just to use one pharmacy if possible. Because I know at our pharmacy, we'll check, if you get a new prescription, we'll check everything in our computer for drug-drug interactions, or you can even tell us what supplement you're on, and we can put that in there. You can keep an updated drug list with you. We print them at ours. I'm sure a lot of pharmacies can print them wherever you go. Make sure you tell your provider everything you're taking. Make sure you're reading your labels and know what's everything in the OTC products. And yeah, just ask before you add anything. Like I said, we're there. So I think that's all I got for now. So thank you, and I think we'll have the next presenter come up. She's going to talk, and then we're going to take questions right after.
We ask you to hold your questions and then jot them down if you want to remember them. So we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So at this time, I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker from Chisago County Public Health. We work very closely with Public Health and Age Well. They are a part of our committees and our coalition. So this time I want to introduce Madeline Willard, who is the supervisor with Chisago County Public Health. Madeline?
So I don't have any slides for today, but everything I'm going to reference is going to be on a resource at the back table. So if something interests you, feel free to take a little note about it or stop by that table afterwards, and I can get you the information that kind of aligns with that. One thing that our team with Public Health and the Chisago County Opioid Action Council works closely to do is to educate people on where to dispose of medications, addition to what questions to ask. One thing I kind of want to highlight first is you may not always be getting your medications in the United States as mentioned. If that's ever the case, they have fentanyl test strips, they're called, or other medication test strips, because there are just concerns with fake pills being out there. So just making sure you know what you're taking, but really recommending that you get them from a pharmacist here within the United States. As he mentioned, we have different stricter standards. So that's kind of highlighted on one of our fake pill education sheets. Another campaign that we're working on right now is our Lock It Up campaign. So although you may know who's in your house or where your medications are, you never know when that's going to get in the wrong hands of somebody that might not be able to use them as they're intended. So in addition to locking them up, also just be aware of how many you're supposed to have. If you have a 30-day supply, kind of jot that down maybe on the bottle or in a little notepad of your medications so that you're aware, I think I'm maybe 3 days early. Did I accidentally take an extra one? Does somebody else have access to these medications? So in addition to that Lock It Up campaign and awareness marketing that we're doing right now, we have some lock boxes. So if you or anyone you know is interested in a lock box, we'll be having one raffled off today, but you can also reach out to Chisago County Public Health to get one. We have basically just pencil pouches or these larger boxes so that it can be in a secured location if you don't have a spot at home that you trust. In addition to locking it up and counting your medication, also just having that conversation. Like I mentioned, you might know who's in your home, but having conversation with your kids, your grandkids, peers, family members, whatever that looks like to you, so that you're normalizing that conversation about safe use of medications and making sure that you're not crossing those wrong medications. A couple of local resources I wanted to highlight. I already heard a couple people stop by the table and mention that they know where some of the local drop boxes are, but we have them at all of our sheriff's office and police departments across the county. So if you're ever looking for an extra place to dispose of your medications, check those out. We also have Datura medication bags. So if for some reason you don't have access to getting those dropped off, you can reach out to public health and we have these medication disposal bags. It's basically a solution that dissolves the medication so that if somebody else had that, it's no longer usable. In addition to the medication drop locations, we also have naloxone access points. We're really trying to educate and normalize people understanding what Narcan can be used for. Especially if you're in a situation where you got your medication from somewhere outside of the United States, and there could be a concern, is that what I think it is? So carrying naloxone can be used for an opioid overdose. There's intermuscular, which is an injection, and also nasal Narcan at all of our naloxone access points within Chisago County. If you are out in the community and somebody has an overdose, it's just an empowering tool to be able to help respond in that situation, but also always call 911. And then also just for your family members so that if something were to happen, it's an overdose reverse medication. So having that, you can it's like a spray in their nose. I was going to say inject it into their leg or spray it into their nose. All of our naloxone access points are highlighted on a flyer at the back. They're mostly at some of our libraries across the county and in the community. And then finally, I wanted to highlight our little postcard. This is more generic than medications today, but you can find our community resource guide, which is going to highlight all of the substance use, mental health, food access resources within Chisago County. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Questions. We'll welcome your questions. I know you had some questions. Does someone of our team want to come up and pass this around to those so we can hear them? Yes, make sure that's working.
Test.
Questions are very welcome.
What does the INR
Yeah, you
represent?
mentioned INR.
Say again?
You used the INR, but I didn't hear an explanation of what that stood for.
Oh, I'm sorry. It stands for International Normal Ratio. They use it when someone's on warfarin or Coumadin. It's the therapeutic window that they'll test your blood, and so it's kind of narrow. And when warfarin, a lot of times you'd have to, when you started out on it, they'd have you come in back every 2-3 days, then a week, and then if it got more stable, then a month. But people are having to go back and just getting it drawn a lot, so it's kind of a pain.
Thank you.
The first one's for John. You said that the statins and erythromycin interact. Can you take them not together, or will they still interact?
They'll still interact. It's not all statins. It's mostly just simvastatin's the main culprit. Atorvastatin is a little less, but still enough of a culprit. Some of the other statins, pravastatin and rosuvastatin, don't really have the interaction at all because they go through a different enzyme.
And then, since you don't want us to take diphenhydramine, what would you suggest for sleep?
First, they always say sleep hygiene, which no one does, but we all know we should do it. Turn the TV off, and a couple hours before bed, don't be on your phone. But if you can try melatonin, and then, yeah, I mean, there's people that I know that have been on it and will keep taking it, but Yeah, just usually try the sleep hygiene and then melatonin. They make some that they do make some, like there's CBD out there that's just specifically for sleep that just look at sleep receptors. It's just a tincture. But and then there's a lot of other medications, prescription wise too, not over the counter, but there's trazodone, which I'll use a lot. I guess probably first line for people.
And then my last question is for Madeline. And when you have to take drugs at a disposal site, do they need the drug label on it? Do they need to know what drug it is?
No, you can just drop it off in their drop
I always
boxes.
take them off, the labels off. and-
Yeah, you don't technically need to, no.
Thank you.
Since there's more patches out there with certain medications over the counter, do we have to worry about those if we're on other medication?
Are you talking most like lidocaine patches? Are you thinking
Yes.
mostly?
Yes.
Or, not as much, just because they pose a little bit of a threat, but I wouldn't worry about them as much as when you're ingesting or just because they won't cause as much interactions as is what I've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a website a person can go to check on those prescribed drugs and supplements for interactions or reactions.
I guess I don't know of one that you don't have to pay for. I'm sure there is. You know of anything?
We have resources at the pharmacy that
Yeah.
can use.
We have stuff at the pharmacy that we can use, but we pay for it, so I was trying to think, I don't know of any, off the top of my head, I don't know of any one that's you can use and not have to pay, but we can look it up, I suppose. Real quick, I'll let you know.
I have two questions. First question, that pharmacogenetics, whatever,
Yeah.
is that something that's available, like when you go in for your physical, or is it like a service you pay for?
Yeah, it's getting cheaper. When it first came out, it was very expensive, which is why people didn't see the benefit of it. I think it's coming down to it depends how many you can test. However many genes, the more genes you test, more expensive it gets. But I think a pretty good number gene, I think, was a few $100s now instead. It used to be well over 1,000. And they still might, some of the big ones might still be that, but also insurances sometimes do cover it. I don't know, but it's just, nice. Mayo has really been kind of spearheading they have a really good program that it's all dedicated to it. So you can ask your doctor if they have any resources when you're at the physical, if they know of it. Otherwise, they can order it. And when I did mine, I ordered it and it got mailed to my house. It's just a cheek swab and then you mail it back and they give your results on a website. So.
Second question, as a caregiver, so since the medication is metabolized in the liver, is there at any point that you need to question if weight loss affects any medications you're on, or does that not matter as much since it's a liver thing?
Definitely matters, just because that's more and like distribution. So when you have less mass, if you lose weight, it'll probably increase. So you probably have to decrease the dose for the most part if you lose a large amount of weight.
I was wondering if it's excuse me, like, up to 10%, not a big deal, but if it's more than a certain amount, then.
Yeah, I don't know probably the exact percent, but probably just, monitoring side effects and whatnot, or if, depending on what medication, what the target goal is, you just, lower their dose and whatnot. So, yep.
I'm taking 5 or 6 drugs, and the doctor prescribed another one, I assume she would know if that can be mixed with the other ones, or if,
Their system does, most of the place, I know like Fairview and I think St. Croix use Epic. So they should be kind of looking at the interactions as well. But I know it definitely picks up different ones. So than what we have, and there's sometimes, yeah, that we get them and they haven't caught them yet. So definitely falls through the cracks.
flag that if you see a problem.
Yep, we'll either, depending on the severity of the drug interaction, if it's just something to watch out for, we'll tell the patient. If it's a more serious drug interaction, we'll hold the medication, contact your doctor, prescriber, and then wait till we hear back before we dispense it, so.
Okay, if you take half a grapefruit in the morning, for example, and a statin at night, atorvastatin, for example,
Okay,
is one of them going to override the other? And how does grapefruit affect the statin?
so specifically the enzyme, it's the same one with the St. John's worts. It's called a CYP3A4. So kind of a lot of drugs go through that. So the grapefruit is getting metabolized and kind of saturating that enzyme, and then your atorvastatin kind of gets plugged up then and has to wait to get metabolized. So it's in your body longer at a higher potency, I guess, and then that's why it can cause the drug interactions and whatnot. So, or the adverse reactions, I should say.
And what was I can't remember.
Yeah.
You said one of them you should not take with antibiotics, for example, azithromycin or something like that. Is that atorvastatin?
Atorvastatin, not a little bit. The main one was simvastatin, and then those the antibiotics I had up there. Simvastatin is just kind of a older drug, and there's just a lot of interactions with it, I guess. So there's newer ones out there that are just as cheap that don't have as many interactions. You don't have to worry about as much. So. I can hear you, but. Here you go. Okay. Yeah, just like I said, like that the sleep hygiene. If, just. Yeah. Okay.
Mine is going 100
On the
miles
ball,
an
yeah.
hour of what's going on. And, oh,
I mean, yeah, there's quite a few different prescription drugs that your doctor could prescribe. And then, like we said, to try to avoid it, but the diphenhydramine, the Benadryl, is a sleep aid, but it's probably not you try first. And I mean, if you're going to do it once just to see how a couple times see how it worked, but yeah, it is it wouldn't be something you'd want to do long term.
after a bit, then I take a couple Tylenol, not the PMs, just plain
Yeah.
Tylenol.
Yeah, that should be fine.
And that usually knocks me out then.
Oh, sure. Yeah, those are fine.
So for the prescription with drugs.com, there was an interaction checker, so I just tested it with this one, and it does seem to at least pull that, so that might be a resource people can use.
Okay.
I'm interested in some of the over-the-counter pain meds, Advil and Tylenol. I've been told that if by alternating those, like taking them each every 3 hours, you know, 2 tablets every 3 hours, should help with pain relief. Would you advise this protocol or not?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any of the drug interactions, But yeah, I mean, it'll keep your dose down on both the medications if you're splitting them up. They work a little differently. The Advil's gonna have the anti-inflammatory response, and the Tylenol does not. So if there's any sort of inflammation that's causing the pain, the Advil is gonna help more than the Tylenol. So that's kind of why they have you split them up.
Long-term use of Advil or ibuprofen in anti-inflammatory, obviously there's kidney damage. I mean, is it okay on like for a few weeks while the pain is most intense?
Yeah, most likely. And people have taken it long term, but just have your doctor monitor kidney function, and and with the Tylenol, they should be looking at your liver enzymes as well. So as long as they're monitoring that when you go in, then it should, it should be okay. Yeah. Mhm. Quick on the drug interaction question. At drugs.com, Kelly tested it, and it is free, and it seemed to catch the one she put on there. So
They have an interaction checker.
interaction checker on drugs.com. So
Okay, my question is, can you just address those weight loss drugs in general? Are they any good? I'm hearing a lot of people say that they can really, pancreatic cancer, certain stuff.
yeah, I mean it is, and they work. They definitely work. People see results on them. They're expensive, but they do work as they're intended to do. I don't know if we know the true long-term effects of it yet, is why I'm a little skeptical. And just kind of the way it kind of just slowing down the food in your body. I'm just personal opinion. I'm not sure that that's the best way to go, to have your food just kind of sitting around in your stomach. I don't know. I feel like it should. I don't know. I feel like you need to. Yeah. I don't know. But that's just my opinion.
And you take Zolpidem long-term, and what are the consequences if you do?
I think there's a few studies out there. I know that people have taken it long term, but I haven't seen anything too drastic of like terrible things. I mean, I guess we know people that take it every day, and they seem so far okay. But I mean,
What's the max you can take?
the max of Zolpidem, the most I've seen of the immediate release is like 10 milligrams. It's kind of what they do. So yeah, taking it at the lowest effective dose too. It comes in 5 and 10s. So to start at 5 milligrams, and then go from there and see if that helps. But definitely helps a lot of people. It is one of the main sleep medication that we do prescribe, or not prescribe, dispense, I should say.
Okay, back to the sleep.
Okay.
Okay, my friend takes 2 melatonin, and then he takes, I think it's like THC, it's the marijuana sleep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, and he takes like a quarter of that because those pills, gummies are pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps him, and I've tried that too, taking a quarter with a couple melatonin, but I feel like crap in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not supposed to give you like the hangover feeling. Yeah. I mean, it's not supposed to, but I suppose it can. It's depending on kind of what's exactly in it. If it's just the THC, it's not. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not. I don't think it's all. It's okay, I guess. It's not the worst thing in the world, but, what? Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're getting it, because the safety part of what's exactly in it, you know. But- Yeah. So yeah, the question was, I think it was, what I think about supplements, like using beets for high blood pressure and whatnot. So I'm more of a natural way. I think you give it a try, and if it works, it's great. If you can, if it lowers your blood pressure after a while, they always say to do lifestyle changes first for high blood pressure, which is diet, exercise, and if you want to add something like a beet that comes out of the ground, I say go for it. Beets come out of the ground, right? Yeah.
Best question loud.
Yeah. Legally, it's you can't say it. I mean, there was a study, they ended up finding drugs like I don't remember where I saw it. It was somewhere on the internet that were like 50 years old, and they tested them for potency, and like 85% of them were still within the 90. It was a lot. I don't remember the exact thing, but whether it hurts you, it probably won't. I mean, it's just what they, yeah, and it's just, yeah, how far out the company tested it. It's essentially what the expiration date is. So they only tested it 2 years from once they made it. They can only safely say that it's good for 2 years after. So there's certain generic companies that go like way longer for some reason. So it's a company called Greenstone. It's always like 8 years out after we get it. So they obviously just do longer testing.
So I have bone density issues. I have an infusion once a year. I take 1,000 calcium and 1,000 D3. Is that too much?
No.
Or can I increase it?
I don't remember if I missed that part of the thing. I don't remember saying it. No, I think it would be fine, and it's always good before you start any vitamin. I'd always say get a baseline, like lab, see what your vitamin D is at, and then take it for a while. Then you know if the supplement's working or not. If it doesn't go up at all, then I guess either you get a different brand or it's not working or take more. But if
I was told calcium is hard to absorb.
that's correct, yeah. Yep, it is hard to absorb. Acidity makes it, sometimes people take it with like vitamin C to try to get it to absorb better. But, yeah.
I had a question, we have questions over here.
Oh.
Okay, another question.
Okay.
Adulterate, which is a phosphate.
Oh, alendronate, yep, yep.
So my I had a bone density test, and so I hadn't changed since 5 years ago. But anyway, so she says, it's up to me if I want to continue that. And so then I was talking to two of my sisters who are nurses, and they said, no, you got to get off of that. It's no good, that phosphate. It's no good, and all that. So I went off of it for about a month, and I thought, well, I got 3 bottles
Yeah, there was a study that long-term use, I don't remember what the year, I'd have to look it up, but it pretty much lost, you weren't really gaining the effectiveness by keeping taking it. So that's why they said after a while you can stop it and you don't have to be on it lifelong. I don't remember what the exact study was, but that's the basis. I mean, I'd have to look at the study again to see what exactly it said, but I do remember reading about it saying that, yeah, that it wasn't, there's no benefit, I guess, and you're just risking the adverse effects by keeping taking it. So, but I'll get back. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have repeated that. Is Fosamax or alendronate? She had, her doctor said she could do either or keep taking it or not keeping taking it. Her sisters told her not to take it. She wondered what my opinion was. Was that pretty much? Yeah. So it's probably has Sudafed in it since you have to sign it, or pseudoephedrine. Um, do you use it all the time or just when you have bad allergies, I guess? Yeah, it's, it probably has, yeah, either Claritin or Zyrtec in it plus the pseudoephedrine, and pseudoephedrine can increase blood pressure, but if you're not using it every day, it's fine. It's good. Yeah, the Sudafed can, yep, that's how it works.
So I didn't, my question was, there's so much CBD promotion, and you didn't mention, you have concerns about people, because a lot of people are using CBD. Could you address that issue?
Yeah, I mean, oh, sure. She had a question, I didn't really say it in the slideshow, about CBD, which is, it's like cannabis, so it's a form of THC, but it's not supposed to have the euphoric effects. So a lot of people use it for sleep or pain, or, yeah, no, comes in different forms. It comes in capsules, tinctures and whatnot, gummies. And from stories I've heard from people say it works really great at helping with pain and whatnot. And yeah, it's not supposed to make you have the euphoric effect since it's not the THC. As long as it's sourced properly, and you know what's in it, then I think it's probably fine for the most part. But there's a lot of people that, yeah, I assume it's under the same thing as the supplements, which is food, so they probably aren't testing it pre-market, but. They don't really have many interactions, no. And it causes sedation, but that's what they're trying to get at. So, but yeah, they're not. Yeah, so yeah, not much that I know about. Not major interactions anyway.
One more.
One last question from me anyway.
Sure.
Medical marijuana, do you think the day will ever come when you'll be able to prescribe or issue it from pharmacy?
Good question. I know the regulations, it was really like, they approved it in the state, but it was really hard for people to be able to sell it with all the regulations. I think there's places in Forest Lake that are trying to do it, and there's just so many regulations that they haven't been able to do it yet, so.
Is there something that comes close that is legal?
Probably like, yeah, CBD, I guess, the CBD or the, is similar. It just doesn't, or you can buy like THC drinks too. Yeah, similar. I don't know. I mean, you have to know where it's from, but I wouldn't, yeah, yeah. There's a lot. Well, there is, there's prescription drugs if you haven't taken them that the doctor can prescribe. There's two main ones that they give, either Ropinerol or Mirapex. And then otherwise, we sell it. It's like a Highlands Restless Leg. It's more of a supplement. This one's over the counter. It's just called Highlands Restless Leg. Some people say it works great, and some people say it hasn't done anything. So it's kind of, I guess, trial and error. But that earlier in North Branch, somebody told me that she started taking magnesium for it, and it worked great. So she said to use that information, so I got to use it. Oh yeah, weighted blanket.
The shorty comes.
Sorry.
Sorry, we're having a microphone with that hand mic. I swear I'm going to resolve that before our next event. We do have a drawing to do before we close today for the official term for this? Well, that I can. This is the Chisago County Public Health provided this lockbox for your medications. I imagine you could lock anything in here, but and there are, a pointer sheet, I think, at your table about safe lock boxes too. So my thought for this is, because we didn't have you sign any prize drawing slips, whose birthday is today? Anyone? Nobody's May 13th. All right. Who's May 12th? Nobody. Okay. Who's May? Raise your hands. How many? Just two?
Oh, one back here.
Yeah, I see 1, 2. Who's the third one? Stand up. I can't, so I don't want to miss anybody. If your birthday's in May, stand up. Just two, right? Nobody in the back. What date? What's your date? And 9th? You're closer, right? Well, 13 minus 9, right? And 13, 22 is further away, right? No, so 9th? My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, so I can feel proud about May birthdays. There you go. And pardon? She was 91 on May 9th. Congratulations. Lovely. I do want to encourage you all to visit the public health table before you leave today to see they have good information for you to put in your folders and take home. Again, we want to thank our speakers today for giving us a good presentation. I'm really pleased to see so many of you here. Again, we thank you for joining us. We hope you found it helpful. Any financial support received today or through our website, chisagoagewell.org, is most welcome and will enable us to continue providing informational programs like this. Please take that evaluation form out of your folders, and before you leave, complete it, and we love suggestions. So we really relish reading your suggestions and ideas for us. And then you can leave it on the table, or there's a blue basket right up here on this table that you can drop it in. Last but not least, watch for our Dine and Discover program, Alzheimer's and Dementia, Diagnosis, Treatment, and Support for Caregivers, right here on August 13th, and it will also be held in Rush City and North Branch on that date. You have a save the date reminder in your folder. Put it on your refrigerator, post it on your calendar, share it with friends who you think may be interested. And you can always check your local newspaper, our website, or North Branch Community Ed, which provides registration for us. Again, thank you. We enjoyed you. Enjoy each other, and have a great day.